What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here, PackersNews.com, live on Facebook. At the end. Now, the end is near, and I must face the final curtain of the 2018 NFL Draft. The Packers have come, they've seen, they hope they've conquered, selected a lot of players, including 2 specialists here on day 3. What does it all mean? Where do the Packers go from here? Are there still needs on this roster? Are there still holes? Are there still things they have to do, competition they have to increase? These are all questions they will start to answer next week when they bring these rookies in for camp. Joshua starts us off with all capitals, long snapper. Why? Did you see last year when they went through 3 of them? They wanted to make sure they got the best one available, and they selected one with a 7th round pick, one of 3 7th round picks that they had. It's a 7th round pick. I mean, the chances of any 7th round pick even playing on this squad are close to minimal to none, and they've ensured, if he's as good as they think he is, that their 7th round pick, at least one of the 3, will actually be on a game day roster. So it's really, sorry guys, very important text. Oh gosh. Oh, sorry. How do you think the Pack did? I thought it was, funny enough, I thought kind of, especially today, I thought it was a real extension of what Ted Thompson was doing. Not to say that Ted Thompson would have made all the same picks, but it was a lot of the similar characteristics in the types of things that happen, whether it's, going with 3 wide receivers, much like they went with 3 running backs last year, because that's how the board fell. The types of players they took. They did get a burner, but for the most part, big, strong, physical wide receivers, tall, big catch radiuses. Again, for the 3rd year in a row, they kind of punted at outside linebacker, although this wasn't a deep class, so that's really not, I don't think, that big a surprise. But, yeah, I mean, it was steady, and Gutekunst moved up and down when he wanted to. Overall, I know in this age of instant draft grades, everybody wants a grade. The real grade is incomplete. You got to wait and let it play out and see how these guys develop. That is the only actual real answer if you want to be talking grades after a draft. But tomorrow on the website, PackersNews.com, I will do a roundup of all the draft grades given out throughout the land of the internet. So make sure you check that out. Ted was involved, I bet. Yeah, we asked Brian about that at the end of the night, and he admitted there were certain times when, if there were 2 similarly rated players on the board, he would knock some ideas, by Ted and ask him about certain things throughout the process. But it was definitely, Brian was in charge, the one making the calls. Are you surprised they went punter? I mean, when it happened live, yeah, absolutely. But after talking to a couple people, it sure sounds like this guy is an amazing punter. I had one person tell me this is the best punter they ever scouted. So, if he comes in and is the, weapon that they feel he can be, especially when it comes to field position, giving offenses long fields to work against, everything he is supposedly going to give them, if he comes in and does that, no one bats an eyelid at the fact that they spent a 5th rounder on him. But if he comes in and is anything less than, say, like a Pro Bowl player, the pick will be questioned for a long time. Let's see. Was that you that asked Goody about the beer? Yeah, it was. It was by far and away the #1 question on my Twitter feed after he said that he went home and got 2 beers out of his garage fridge. So I said, I thought I had to find out which beer it was. The answer was Spotted Cow. Vogel was real good already. He was good. He wasn't exactly consistent. And the fact that they took this kid out of Alabama at all after the strong year that Vogel had should give you some kind of indication of how good they feel J.K. Scott is going to be. Surprise, no tight ends. A little bit, Chase. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they would tell us that's how the board fell. I tried to ask McCarthy about it. He kind of avoided the question. But, yeah, I mean, maybe Emmanuel Byrd steps up. I got to think they use it as a recruiting tool throughout this evening, pitching to undrafted free agents. maybe that helps them land an extra athletic tight end or two. But I mean, I still think that, you know, clearly they're pretty much quote unquote set with Graham and Kendricks, but as I've been saying throughout the draft process, they have ignored the position in the draft for a long while, and they continue to do so, apparently. Excellent draft by Gutekunst. Yeah, a lot of positive remarks. Look at all these heart emojis. You guys are excited about Gutekunst's first draft. Vogel was iffy in the cold weather. Before the cold, he was top tier. You know what? I got to say, I was actually surprised how well he punted in the cold. That said, he wasn't consistent in it. That I will agree with. But he had some nice hits. But like I said, they just clearly think this kid is going to be a lot better. Your opinion on St. Brown? You know, the talent's there. There's no doubt about it. He's fast and tall and, you know, a bit raw, but, I mean, it's going to be fun to watch him battle with these other guys. I know a lot of people, both in and around the league, really like him, think he's really talented. You know, he's got to continue to improve his game. But yeah, it's going to be hard to make this squad at wide receiver, I think. There's a lot of competition, both guys they brought in today and guys held over from last year. So we'll see how it plays out. I love the cornerbacks. It went from a problem to a strength. I mean, we got to watch them lace them up first, but you know, obviously a lot of people had both Alexander and Jackson rated very highly. They got two of the best corners in this draft, talking to any scout. So, yeah, you got to think they've certainly improved their lot in life when it comes to the cornerback position. Chance we still call Dez for a one-year deal with the wide receivers they drafted. I would tend to think they'll wait until they get those guys in the door, see what they look like running around, but I don't know, I still wouldn't completely dismiss the idea. Gutekunst got an A+ by analysts for his first draft. There you go, for all the good that does. No pass edge rusher, no edge rusher. Well, Mike, I think it's pretty clear they're counting on you know, improvement from within. Everything we've talked about for the last couple months leading up to the draft, you know, the fact that Vince Beagle missed the entire offseason last year, Reggie Gilbert really flashing those last 2 weeks, those are the things that they are going to be counting on, including the addition of Muhammad Wilkerson and his ability inside. You know, I don't think they're going to be just sitting on their hands as far as if perhaps there are cap casualties down the road from other teams that maybe they go after. But at the moment, I think it's, you know, counting on improvement from within. Corner was a bigger need than edge, and this wasn't a strong edge class. Yes, Gutekunst would tell you that himself. He just said it at the podium. But, you know, that said, they continually ignore the edge position or edge rushers in general. I mean, last year was a very deep, strong class in the edge, and all they got away from that was Vince Beagle and Reggie Gilbert as an undrafted free agent. I'm going to take one or two more here, folks. I got to jump. Still got stuff to do. If St. Brown doesn't make the team, I hope his name does. Equiminius St. Brown. How surprised are you they drafted 11 players? Daniel, very. I said coming into today I'd be shocked if they used all 8 selections, and that's exactly what they did. It's going to be a hell of a competition in camp, and I don't think you're going to see quite as many undrafted free agents asked in the door. Maybe you'll get a bunch of workout guys, but there are going to be some real tough battles and some real tough decisions for Gutekunst down the line this summer. But yeah, I did think they would whittle that down a little bit over the course of the weekend, but you know, they want to bring in what they want to bring in. St. Brown was projected 3rd round. Why did he fall? You got always, anything with projected 3rd round, always take all that stuff with a grain of salt. I mean, you're not looking at it through the lens of the Packers are. There's an NFL team, I know for a fact, that 2 guys that the Raiders took in their first 2 days, this NFL team had those guys ranked as undraftable. You know, every team looks at these prospects differently. Now, St. Brown is a talented guy, and when we talked to him on the conference call here at Lambeau, he indicated he thought he was going to go a little bit earlier. Obviously, he's going to use that as motivation. But, you know, who's to say it may be a medical thing that we're unaware of? Maybe teams know something medically that we don't. It could be something to do with his family. He comes from a very different background. Some people, some critics in the online world have compared or said there's a potential for his family to become LeVar Ball-like, which I think is kind of silly. But, you know, his father is a world-class weightlifter who's had an HBO feature on he and his brothers, Equiminius and his brothers. So, you know, there's a bit of Hollywood surrounding him. So maybe GMs were scared off on that. But clearly, you know, Gutekunst was asked about it today, and he said, well, we like the height, we like the speed. We don't have any problems with him off the field. So it's really hard to say why anybody falls. I mean, these guys, you know, like I said, each team looks at him through a different kind of lens. Sign Jason Witten. Didn't he just retire? Did we sign free agents yet, Paul? They're in the process of doing so as we speak here live on Facebook. Insert cheap Trevor Davis joke about bombs. Alex, that's terrible. Do you see the rookie DB starting right away? I think they're going to have to battle for it. I think Alexander has a clearer path to a starting job because he projects more inside, and that's where they really need the help. I think Jackson will have his hands full battling with King and Tremont to get on the field. Ahmad Brooks, no word, AJ, but you got to think there's a possibility they bring him back since they didn't address the outside linebacker position until the 7th round today. Watch your Alexander's highlights. Very impressive. He's an impressive athlete, no doubt. Let me see. One or two more here. What do we got, people? We had a great draft. Lou, yeah, time will tell. The initial reaction has been very positive in the building, but it usually is. Who was the most surprising pick in your opinion? Oh, it's got to be the punter, right? I mean, the long snapper in the 7th round, I totally get that. A punter in the 5th? He better be real good. He better be real good. Raji, got to get in the Raji. There you go, Chase. Thanks so much. All right, everybody, I'm going to jump. Thank you so much for joining me. Wrapping up here from Lambeau. I take off back for New York tomorrow. I'll be back on Facebook Live on Monday. Make sure you're checking PackersNews.com for all the latest. We'll have full coverage of everything that went on in Brian Gutekunst's first draft, 2018 NFL draft is in the books. I am going to go get a beer. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good night.